Welcome to the Impatient Entrepreneur Podcast, a show where we hear from entrepreneurs and business owners who are chomping at the bit to make their mark on the world. I'm your host, Lauren Quidar-Cockrell. Now, let's hurry up and get to the good stuff. Welcome back, friends. We have a wonderful guest here today to speak about a topic that is actually very near and dear to my heart, mentoring. Deborah Heiser is the founder and CEO of the Mentor Project and author of the Mentorship Edge. Deborah, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. I'm delighted to be here.
Yeah, I am too. I have lots of questions, but let's just do the first official one and then I'll attack you.
Okay.
Are you an impatient entrepreneur?
I am. I definitely am. I started the nonprofit a while back, and I have been doing everything that every other impatient entrepreneur has been going through.
Good. You're in good company. Okay, so tell us about your organization and how it came to be and why you started it and what y'all do.
Like most people, it came from a passion point of view. There was a question that I was looking to answer, and when I got in front of several of other people, about 7 of us, we decided, let's start a company, because we were really looking at mentorship and saying, we have a question about mentoring that seems to be different than every other person in the way they're looking at it. And that was from the mentor's perspective. Mm-hmm. What do they get out of it? Mm-hmm. And so we realized we really need to start an organization in order to make this happen and see if we can look at mentorship from the mentor's perspective. So it was that driving question that made us say, we need to do this. And then it took off after we started. It was crazy. And I think that most people, who are starting an organization, they want that to happen. But boy, when that happens, it's a crazy ride.
Yeah. Yes, I describe 2024 for my PR firm and being in a growth mode. It's like being strapped to a rocket on the outside of the rocket and launched into space.
Oh, that's a good way of describing it.
That's how I was like, hold on.
Yes, exactly. Just keeping track of days was, such an important thing because it felt like days were just melding together for a while.
Absolutely. So what does the organization do?
So we bring the top 1% experts to mentor students around the world for free. Wow. So an astronaut or, somebody who, one of the fathers of the network firewall, people who've done world-changing things come together and they decide, hey, I'd like to mentor. We don't go out and recruit. Mm-hmm. They say, hey, I'd like to do this. Mm-hmm. But we provide a platform for them to do that and to give back. And it's really, we've been able to give away through more than $3 million of mentorship hours last year. Wow. From our mentors, and we're hoping to double that this year. It's really just essentially bringing people together around the world. And I think that the coolest thing about it is that you can live anywhere and be in touch with, say, an astronaut or someone from Silicon Valley or, somebody who would not be living where you live necessarily. If you're on the East Coast, you can be with somebody on the West Coast or someone in a completely different country. So doing that really allows us to look at what it does for the mentor. And the mentors are really able to tell us that they feel relevant, useful. They feel like all of their expertise isn't, being wasted. I liken it to if you don't access mentors, you're burning down libraries and you have to keep reinventing the wheel. So that's really what we're doing. We're keeping libraries from being burned down and getting those experts out to people all around the world.
I love that. One of my favorite quotes from just growing up and hearing it was like, smart people learn from their mistakes, wise people learn from the mistakes of others. And
yes.
So, allowing that transfer of knowledge to happen. And really that's so, yeah, we don't want that to just kind of go away and be absorbed, into the ether. I guess we want there to be a soft place to land for information and experiences and talent and all that. That's really cool. Do you have an example of a case study that you really felt very proud of?
I have a bunch.
I'm sure you do.
One of them is showing how one man was able to change an entire community. And so we don't ever know the power that we all hold until we get to see it. And so Justin Thompson is a well-known artist. He's the guy who's trademarked to do Snoopy and all of those characters. So he works for Schultz Creative Studios, and he's their senior artist. And we got a call from a school in Tanzania, a very small area of Tanzania called Shirati, Tanzania. And the school had not been exposed to Western art, like cartooning. And they said, we would love it if we could have, a mentor who could teach that and have supplies and the kids could learn how to do this. And Justin said, okay. And he got on a plane, stayed in a local home, and he arrived and decided he's going to paint a big mural on the side of the building of the school. And they had nothing on the walls. It was just brown, like literally not a single piece of art, nothing. So he made a giant mural on the side where when you drive up to the school, it's the first thing you see. So he's working on it, and out come the entire community. Moms holding babies, dads and other men are holding the scaffolding, stirring the paint, making it all happen, making it easy for him, welcoming him in. Then he went in and taught the kids in the school. And then the teachers came along and they said, we want to learn this too. So he ended up teaching for a week. He came back and started waking up at 4:00 in the morning once a month to teach them on Zoom. They'd all crowd around one computer on Zoom, and they each had their sketch pad, and they were able to work with him once a month. And then he went back again the next year. And so he then taught the teachers what he taught the students. So it's able to continue going and moving and progressing. And he was able to see the students prior to that. Then the next year, he went to New York Edge to Flatbush, Brooklyn, to teach middle schoolers who were the same age as the students in the school in Shirati, Tanzania, the same thing, using the same techniques, and shared the same curricula that he had developed for the students in Tanzania. So this man was able to not only change the lives of these students who now had a new outlet for art, but the community who now saw how wonderful this was. Just this new technique. That's really what they got to see. And then being able to bridge two communities with, Tanzania and Brooklyn, to be able to say, hey, this is how we're doing it. And he said it was exactly the same for the kids in both places. But he was able to make impact that was more than 500 students and an entire community, just one guy. And so that was one powerful example. Another one is one student came in and had an idea. She was taking classes in a culinary school and was finding that the knives she was using didn't fit her hands well. So she wanted to create a new knife line that was for women, but she didn't know anybody. She had no idea how to do this. So we put her with a mentor who was able to help her. I think she patented 28 times in the year and started her own company and created a whole, kitchenware line, and was able to do that in the course of a year. And she won an international design award for her knives. So this student's whole life changed because she had a dream that she thought was a dead end. It was just like kind of a fantasy. And she was able to put that into motion and make a life change, which is a new company for herself. So those are just two of the many, many, many examples that we have of students taking on new roles and being empowered and just even experiencing something a little bit different, getting new exposure to something.
That's so cool. That's just so heartwarming. Feels nice. What does your organization look like? Do you have a team? How's the magic happen?
So we have about 100 mentors who've come through our doors, a little more than 100. And so the mentors are all over the place. There's one in Anguilla, we've had them in other countries. and throughout the United States. So we have a platform so students can meet one-on-one with mentors. They just have to click a button that says become a mentee, and then they get connected with a mentor. We also have our mentors who will come together periodically and give talks in person. So City Tutors, which is part of the City University of New York, in New York City, they will put on events. And so about once a month, our mentors will come together and give a panel on a topic like AI or space or something like that. And so we'll get about 5 mentors to come together to give talks, and then the mentees can meet with them in person afterwards and then say, hey, I'd like to meet with this person one-on-one later. So we are all virtual, except for when we do our events where we come together in person, or if there is a mentor and a mentee who happen to live in the same area. So we happen to have that in New York and in Chicago, where we have some that are able to meet in person because of proximity that allows that.
Sure. Since you're working with students, I imagine there's some administration that has to happen for vetting the people and make sure everybody's in good hands.
Absolutely. We have background checks that we do on everyone once a year. And all mentors have to meet with at least 2 people who interview them. And they also have to do a pretty extensive onboarding package of questionnaires with a lot of extra information in there. So it's not an easy process. It takes some time, but we really believe in making sure that our mentors are, people who kids can meet with, and that we also feel like this is a safe community also for other mentors, because a lot of our mentors meet up and do things with each other. So there's a lot of lateral mentoring that happens. Some of our mentors have created their own companies. They've written books together. They've, written articles together. They get together with individuals. So it's a safe community for everyone.
Beautiful, beautiful. So, and how has your role evolved through the progression of the organization? Are you doing what you did today, the same as you did at inception, or?
When we first started, it was just a couple of us. And so I was doing everything, all the organizing, getting everything together. I was the one who did all of the paperwork, to submit for becoming a company, a nonprofit, everything from soup to nuts, including filing, finding a person to do our taxes and filing that. So that was a learning curve. But then over time, when we grew really rapidly, we went from about 10 people, which I was very comfortable with, to 60 within 6 months, and then to 80, and then to 100. And that's, I thought I was I was on the outside of the rocket ship, like you were describing. But then we got an admin who has saved my life. And we have a COO. We have a treasurer who does our bookkeeping also. We have somebody in charge of membership. So now we have a team of people who really help out with getting everything done.
What's your dream and vision for the organization for the next couple of years and beyond?
The dream is that we'll get this to more people around the world, but also that we'll be able to open it up. I've gotten so many requests for people who say, I'm not a student, I want a mentor. We're finding that so many, particularly early, job seekers, people who've just graduated, are finally saying, wow, I didn't know, here's the real world. I need some mentorship. And so we want to open it up to maybe offer membership for people so they can get some of the mentoring and some of the, things that we offer, so that if you're new in the field, it's not a networking group, but it's more of finding a mentor who can help you out, or even lateral mentoring among some of the people who join in, but having a lot of that community. And so my goal really that I think is to get this to scale so that more people can access it, and so that more people can understand what good mentoring really is.
Lovely. So Are you impatient about anything in particular right now? That next step, or?
Yeah. There's nothing that makes me more impatient than having to wait for the next step to happen. Like in my mind, I'll see it, and I have to make it happen. And that process is really trying, I have to say, because there's a lot that goes into even the smallest thing that you say, I want to implement this. There's like a domino effect, a cascading that happens that you have to, make sure that you are covering all of these other things. So, even just thinking through the logistics of something that sounds amazing when it comes out of your mouth, you have to then make sure that the logistics match it.
Right.
And who else is getting pulled in? And how do we fund that? And how do we, just everything. So I'm impatient about that.
I understand. How do you fuel yourself as a leader to, either this leader of mentors, these talents, and then you have these young people. How do you make sure that you are the leader you need to be through, reading or listening to podcasts or going to conferences or what have you? Like what fills your cup?
For me, it's mentoring. I need mentors. I'm a psychologist, and I tell everybody I'm the bus driver here that has not been trained for this. I am doing stuff that I wasn't trained for. So I try to call in as many people as I can to help me, to give me the advice and the guidance. Somebody who's done it already, somebody who's seen it. One of my biggest areas that I am really not great at, that I need help with all the time, is fundraising. And that's something that I have to call people on it, say, hey, I need your mentorship. Tell me what you've done that worked. Tell me how you do it. And there's one person in particular, her name is Rachel Gazdick, and she's the CEO of a very large nonprofit in New York City. And I pick her brain all the time because she's seen everything and she's been through everything. And our organization is like a pea-sized organization compared to hers, which is like, I don't know, a $65 million organization. So if I can rely on people that I know have successfully navigated, that's when it helps me, it fuels me, because I feel like I have a safety net.
Yeah, absolutely. It's so wise. I think a lot of times people, it's like their egos get in the way of asking for help or guidance. Like, well, I'm doing this, so I should know how to do it, so I can't ask. And that's just, like, no, I ask.
Yeah, absolutely.
Shortcut.
You know what? It's going back to, I think it's ego. You're right. Absolutely. Like, oh, I better have this, or somebody's going to see me as incompetent. But I think that most of us, myself included, originally, I didn't know how good it feels for somebody to know that they are helping and guiding you, because you get to feel relevant. You get to be the expert. You get to see the ideas that you're putting into somebody else's work. And then you're a part of that. So, I know that whenever I ask Rachel something, some kind of advice, she wants it to work for me.
Right.
Because she feels, like I'm giving this advice, and is it good? Did it work? But she is amazing. And she's one of the few people that has been able to get me to the next level with a lot of things because of her advice. And that, honestly, I think that I had to get over my own feeling of vulnerability that made me feel like, well, do I want somebody to know that I don't know something? And do I want her to see me in a different light? And she didn't. She wasn't like, oh, here comes dumb Debbie.
Yeah.
She was like, I can't wait to help you. Let's go to lunch and map it all out. Let's strategize. It was the exact opposite of what a person might expect.
There is something interesting when that happens. I've seen this in parenting, and then also with fellow entrepreneurs, where I love to give advice because it almost validates some of the pain that I've been through. It makes it worth it a lot more. It's like, yeah, okay, I can learn from my mistakes and move on and be, quote unquote, more successful or whatever. But when I can turn around and say, oh yes, your kid's gonna sleep through the night eventually, here's what I did, or yes, here's what you need to do is you set up your business or hire people or and so on and so forth. Like, it just makes everything feel more worth it and gives it more meaning rather than just like it living within me and then that's it.
It makes you feel like you had a success. And that's, there's nothing better than that. And you don't get to notice it. Like, we just go through life And until somebody makes us face that we've had a success,
Right.
we might not ever acknowledge that.
Right,
and it feels good to be like, yeah, my kid slept through the night.
Yeah.
You know, but when you're going through that, that is rough.
Yes, it is. Yeah, exactly. No, I think it does make it, because especially, I don't know if it's our culture or what, but we're just like, okay, I'm still climbing the mountain. But yeah, it does cause you to pause, reflect, look back, sort of sum things up, and yeah, just be like, yeah, we can do this together. And I'm now I can be a part of your success, and that gives my success even more meaning too. So yeah, ask for help.
Absolutely.
But don't take advantage.
I love that you said that, don't take advantage. I think the way that we take advantage is if we're trying to get help from somebody and we're not seeing that we're part of the equation. If we're asking for help, we better make sure that we are going to be that vessel that carries that the way that person intends it.
Yes.
So that we're not just, snatch and grab. And nobody likes that.
Right.
But people do like it when you're like, you know what, I'm going to take this valuable knowledge and go use it. And then that person gets to see that happen, whether it works or not. They get to see that it was employed in some way. But you're totally right. We should not be self-centered about asking for help.
I like how you sum that up, because that I will give and give and give all day long to, especially younger folks coming up, because there so many people poured into me on my rise, again, quote unquote. And so I love to help other people. I'm like, yes, let me hang the lantern for you, like someone did for me. But yeah, if someone doesn't, if they don't, I sit there for 2 hours, being like, yes, this is how you do this. They're like, and then the next month, so how do you do this again? Like, oh God.
Yeah. Oh, there's nothing worse than that. You're so right. Oh, I
never mind. I don't want to do this anymore.
Yeah, exactly. You want to feel like you're in a mutual relationship, and that is not being taken advantage of. So absolutely, you're right. There's nothing worse than feeling taken advantage of.
Right. But they're like, yeah, I did what you said. It didn't work for me 100%, but I really got something out of here. Like, okay, yeah, what do you need next? Let's go. Exactly.
That's how it works. And it's like fuel. You just hear a little nugget of something that somebody employed, and you're like, okay, yeah, the gas tank's full. I'm ready to go.
Absolutely. Not to beat this topic to death, but I had a prospective client call the other day, and we're just talking, and I said something, and he said, I've actually taken 2 things, no matter what happens, I've taken 2 things from this conversation that I want to take back to my business. And I was like, are you kidding me right now? And he's like, he shows up, holds up his notepad. He's like, yeah, I love this title that you gave this. And I love how you talk about, disciplining people, like talking about through values rather than like, I don't like how you did this type thing. And he said, no matter what, I've taken this away. I'm like, oh my gosh, like you can get it from anywhere. By all accounts, it's way more successul than I may ever be. But that he was willing to hear from me and take something to heart and beg, borrow, and steal.
Yeah, but you're part of that person's journey then.
Exactly. And it felt really great. I was like, great, I love this. Okay, so dramatic change of subject. Tell me about a time in your organization's trajectory where you felt like you're just bebopping along and then the rug gets pulled out from underneath you and you think, okay, I actually don't know if we're going to make it, but it ultimately turned out to be one of the best things that could have happened.
That happened actually last year. We grew and grew, and we were just kind of scaling and moving along, and everything was great. And then there was a difference of opinion. When you have groups of people that you start with, you don't have any expectations necessarily that go very far. You're like, is this working now? And as the vision grew and changed, that didn't match for everyone who started along. So we had some, issues, and I thought this could be it because we have some differences of opinion. And those differences were big. And it was something that I said, I can't do everything. I'm just not capable. I have a life outside of here. I gotta take a break. I have to be able to take care of myself. And then it ended up being that we needed to make some dramatic changes, which we did, and shifted things. And now it's better than ever. It's flowing much better, but it needed to almost be like broken down in a way before we could then get a solid foundation again and then move forward. But it was a moment that I thought it might not happen. It might be that this is it. And I think that that's more common. What I'm hearing is that's more common than I thought, that sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes people say, okay, I don't have this fight in me anymore. And other people say, I have a new fight in me to make this happen. But you also have to have enough people on board to say, I'll go in that new direction. And so that's where we were. And now we're farther along than we've ever been. Even with that, we still had our best year ever in terms of mentorship hours. So, but I will tell you, nobody should, being an entrepreneur is an emotional journey.
Yes.
Most people they talk about the successes and the wins and the step ladder of going through things. But if you are tied to the mission of what you're doing, and the success of it, it's an emotional ride.
Very much so. Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's way more than I ever could have imagined. The roller coaster of agony and joy.
I know.
It's very acute.
Yes, it honestly makes parenting look so much easier.
Right.
Learning those ropes. But I will say that taught me more about myself than I ever. It was such an emotional, personal growth time for me. I finally was able to see I can do more than I ever thought I could do.
Right.
And I can handle anything. You throw it at me and I can grab it and handle it. And that's sometimes a pretty valuable lesson to have at the end.
No kidding. Yeah. Knowing how strong you really are in what's in you, and please don't test me again, but I guess I can handle it.
Yeah. I passed the test. No need for another one.
Good. No, thank you. It is interesting. I don't know that any business ever has been perfectly suited, set up to reach its natural conclusion some many years down the road. There's always has to be like, okay, here's what we thought we were going to do. Oh, things have evolved because they're supposed to. Things change. And then you're like, now we have to take a different path. And that may involve dismantling some of the hard work we've done to rebuild so that we can actually take this where this needs to go. And that's hard. You do hope that you figure that out sooner rather than later. But I think everybody goes through that.
Yeah, that's part of growth. You start to move in a direction that's working for you, and it might not be what you originally thought. And it might be, if you're working with other people, that new path is what half the people like and half the people don't, or that the vision is changing because that's where the success can be. And so that's one of the trickiest things that you have to really learn. You get to learn more about yourself than the organization. And that's really the big test.
Yeah. I have a friend who's a fellow entrepreneur. We've spoken many times about owning a business has shown us who we actually are as people more than any other thing that we could have done in life.
You're right about that, because you can't hide.
No.
There's no hiding. You are exposed at all times, and people are looking at you and really saying, how is this person responding to this? And, our ugly comes out, the bad decisions that we might make, or a weakness comes out and people see it. And then you just have to be like, okay, I own it. I'm accountable. Let's move forward. How do we get past this?
Right.
So
I didn't know, but now I do.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
All right. So when you were a kid, was there a personality trait of yours that maybe you were directly criticized for it, or you just, you were given the vibe that this was a weakness that you probably maybe needed to work on, but now as an adult and a leader of this incredible organization, you realize it's actually your superpower?
Yeah, absolutely. I was always told that I did things the way that I wanted to do and how I wanted to do it. And it was generally not the way I think differently than a lot of people. And that made me feel like I wasn't smart. And by thinking differently, like I look at mentorship from the mentor perspective, like nobody else was doing that.
Right.
But those are the kinds of things that I would do. And that was like, criticized. Just stay in this lane. Like stop trying to get into another one. And that ended up being a superpower for me in research and looking at things in psychology, because you need to do that sometimes. But that was something that I really tried never to show to people, because it was something that was discouraged. It makes more work when you do that. And nobody wants that.
No. Like, come on now. The group project is doing this. Why are you adding more hours to this?
Exactly. Yeah. Can you pick an easy question?
Yeah. It's like, no, I can't actually.
Yeah, exactly.
I love it. I'm glad I didn't get totally beaten out of you. What's a piece of advice you can give our listeners to make their lives and businesses stronger and better today?
Look to your left and look to your right. You're looking at a mentor or someone that you can mentor. And, we all think that we have to look for somebody that is special or different, or that's going to embody some kind of like fireworks that are going to come out of them. And we'll see something that, oh, good, this person's going to change my life. The one bit of advice I have is that lots and lots of people with little bits of advice are what really make the fireworks for us.
Yes, absolutely. That's a great piece of advice. Okay, where can people find you and help support your mission?
You can go to www.mentorproject.org. And if you are a student, you can get free mentorship from our amazing mentors. If not, you can support us in other ways, through financial support, or you can find out if there's a way you want to volunteer or do something with us. If you would like to check out the Mentorship Edge, that is available however and wherever you get books, in whatever format you like them in Amazon, wherever you get them. And you can find me on LinkedIn, and I write for Psychology Today. You can find me there. I'm around.
Okay. We'll put some of that in the show notes.
Great.
Well, thank you for being here. Thank you for all you're doing in the world to connect mentors and mentees in helping to make sure libraries stay unburned.
Thank you. I appreciate you.
Thanks for listening to The Impatient Entrepreneur. Love the podcast? Be sure to share it with a friend or colleague and give us a 5-star review. You can also chat with us on Instagram or Facebook at The Impatient Entrepreneur Pod. Want to star on a feature episode? Head over to